So this is going to be a very difficult topic for me to talk about because I've I've been mulling over it for a very very long time, and haven't really spoken out about my experiences just because of like shame, and also because it's very complex and there's a lot of people that could get hurt and the fallout would be incredible. So I keep my silence, but today I'm not going to keep silent. I'm going to talk about it. So, I was raised in the LDS church. Uh, it it essentially was like a big part of my youth, right up until I was about 17. Then it wasn't, um, just because of circumstances. I managed to not be able to attend, which was I'm grateful for that. But this is my testimony to why the church is false. And I was raised in a cult. My family stole in the cult. I've essentially been excommunicated from my family. Not by, well, now it's by choice. Now I choose not to be a part of it. But when I was young, it wasn't by choice. I was neglected as a child, stifled. This is very, very intense to talk about, but I was also molested as a child. Um, I'm 29 now, and it's taken me nearly like 29 years to really just like talk about it, just because bad things happened to me. And so here we go. Here we go. So when I was young, I think I was about 4 years old, my parents got divorced, and my mother and my father were in the church. My mother is essentially completely brainwashed, and my father converted into the church in order to marry my mother. And my mother is blind, deaf, and dumb, and she's a fool, and she's caused me a great deal of suffering in my life through her not being able to see what was going on in my life. I do hold her partly responsible, um, because if she had just been more brave, none of this would have happened. But yeah, so when my parents got divorced, my mother remarried very early on, very quickly, to a man, and it was very clear to me. It's very clear to me now, but it wasn't back then that I was never meant to stick around. I was always meant to just fuck off eventually, or kill myself, or just remove myself, because yeah, I was physically abused by this man. He used to pinch me. I was neglected. I was made to feel ashamed of myself all the time. I was also made to feel like I couldn't talk about it because in the church, it's like toxic positivity. You can never be. This is LDS Church, Mormon Church. You can never question, really. You're not really allowed to question things. And I learned from a very young age that you have to be silent, because as a child, these people are bigger than you. They can do what they want to you, and you have no power, and no one will listen to you because you're just a stupid kid, you know. So this happened for many, many years of my life, but basically, um, I was I was essentially when my mother remarried, I was essentially, this was the beginning of my neglect and abuse slash ostracization from my family. And I have three sisters that were half sisters. They don't talk to me anymore because the brainwashing is firm that their father imprinted them on them that I'm bad, I'm evil. I was constantly being told that I'm causing contention. But only now I realize that I wasn't causing contention. My mere presence was the contention. And yeah, man, like I'm realizing this here now. I'm nearly 30. I'm gonna be 30 in 2 months' time. As I'm recording this video, and it's been difficult over the last while. I've been reading testimonies of people who left the church. I've been going through like Mormon history, and over many years I've been doing this, but I've been fervently doing it over the last few weeks. And I've just come to realize how much I suffered under these people, under these mind-controlled freaks, and how I've essentially, it's bad enough being a young man, on your own, because no one gives a shit anyway. But when you're raised in a cult and you leave the cult, especially when you've been taught as a child that they essentially cut off all your avenues of escape, so that if you do ever leave, it's detrimental. It's harrowing. Me leaving the church was the most intense experience of my life, because I lost everyone. I lost every support structure. Not that I had one. No one really cared. I was abandoned. The monster successfully convinced my mother to hand me over to my father and his wife. And that's another topic as well, because I was just passed around. Like, no, you take the boy. No, we don't want the boy. He's evil. You take the boy, And so my stepfather has always hated me. I truly believe he doesn't like me. It's all smoke and mirrors. And so I was foisted on to my father, who didn't even really want me either. And then my stepmother hated me, quite literally hated me, and by virtue of that, she abused me. I used to get put in bathed in boiling like water. I was crying. She would scrub me so that I was sore. A few times she used to pinch my areas, and I used to think that this was just like a part of life, and I couldn't talk about it with anyone because I was afraid to be laughed at. I was afraid that I'd be seen in an even worse light. So it really fucked me up, man. And I'm all alone. I don't have anyone. I don't have my family doesn't even give a shit about me. The only people who care about me in my life are my grandparents. And they've seen me from young, grow up from a happy kid to this, like what I am now. Like, I have psychosis. I don't trust anyone. I'm always paranoid. It's like I see monsters around every corner now, because I've also seen growing up, like, even when I was in the church and even outside, like other families, how they interact with each other. And like, I used to sometimes like go home crying because I was like, I wish I had that, man. I was actually at one point so jealous of my cousin because at least he had a father who loved him and who actually like tried to teach him stuff. Like, no one taught me nothing. And then essentially, like, I have no skills as an adult. I have no like higher form of education because I was just meant to turn 18 and fuck off, and then come back to pay for their shit or to help do this or to and oh man, this is so difficult for me to talk about. But I feel like things are changing now. I get this kind of like, I don't know if it's like a feeling, like Mormons will know what I'm talking about, like a Holy Spirit, but not the Holy Spirit, because that's bullshit. But some form of like instinctual awakening where things are changing in these places, these churches. People are leaving in droves. I used to have such negative views on people who weren't in the church. I used to always think like, oh, if you're not in the church, you're going to hell, and people who criticize the church are going to hell, and all these things. And I was so scared, like if I did something wrong, I'd go to hell. And I was made to feel ashamed of growing up, me as a male. I was secluded away from my sisters, because they thought I was gonna be like perverse with them. You know, like how could you think that of a child? I was just a brother. You know. And I was never really allowed to express myself growing up, and explore my masculinity or anything. I was never allowed to wear tank tops. I was never allowed to, when I wanted to go to the gym, it was always an issue. I had to really try and like make sure that like the stars aligned for me to be able to go to the gym when I was still living there. You know, um, like any form of masculine expression was outlawed in my house. Being male was like a crime against God. And I know that might seem like untrue, because I'm not discrediting women's experiences in the church, because I think that the church doesn't see women as equal either. Women are subordinate in the church to these monsters. And now this isn't the case for all Mormons, okay? Like I'm you got to understand nuance here when I'm talking. This is just me kind of like venting, and I'm not well, so take it however you like. I don't fucking care. But this is just my experience, and I always felt ashamed of myself. I always had a deep sense of like shame, and especially because of what happened with my stepmother and my stepfather. Like I struggle to form relationships with people. I've had a few girlfriends, but they've always just said like, man, there's something wrong with you. Like I just can't get close to anyone. I can't fucking get close to anyone. I don't trust anyone. You know, like like it's so sad because the word family to me is tarnished. Like when people try and pull that family card, automatically I'm thinking, hi, what do you want from me? What do you want me to do for you? How must I serve you? Like I'm your subordinate bitch that just needs to fall in line, you know? And ultimately, like the LDS church, it steals your soul, it steals your mind, and it'll steal your individuality finally. You just become part of the hive. And the brainwashing is so strong, you know? Like, I'm so glad there's so many all these sexual allegations coming out that the churches try to hide. I'm so glad that's coming out, because I know people as well who've been abused by members in the church. I was never sexually abused by members in the church. I will say that. All the Mormon people I met, bar my stepfather and one other man, I never like thought ill of. I met nice people in the church, very friendly, but ultimately they are subsumed. They are like consumed by this cult. And I've literally seen in real time familial love die for me, because I didn't want to be a part of the church. I've seen in real time my exclusion. Like I'm already excluded, because of my illness, and because of what's happened to me. I'm non-functional. And yeah, I have to talk about this, and I'm actually so glad that I'm gone. I'm out of there because it allowed me to understand many things about the world uh, that I never understood, and it also allowed me to go down a path of understanding who truly owns the world. You know, the funding. I will not get into that, but those who know. But I don't think if I had left the church, I would have gone down this path of knowledge. So that I'm grateful for. And I just want to share something that happened to me. And I wrote about this in my journal a long time ago. And that was actually why I started journaling, because of what happened to me. So when I started really trying to investigate if Christianity was real, shall we say just Abrahamism, and I would just want to like preface this that Abrahamism is a curse. It is a curse on the world. It is, oh. But yeah. So I had a dream, and I've always had bad dreams as a kid. I would have terrible nightmares, and I still even remember them vividly. You know, and I used to have terrible like daydreams of like me getting killed and stuff, and it's probably because I was like trying to process what happened to me. But I had this dream, and in the dream I was in the church that I grew up in, the LDS church, and I was all on my own, and it was like midnight, it was dark outside, and I was just standing in like the hallway, and there was all these paintings of like you know, their god, whatever, their Jew god, and all this, all their moronic prophets and whatever, and all these, you know. Sorry, I don't really mean to disparage him that much, but to me, it's like now that I see it for what it is. But in the dream, I was like filled with a sense of like extreme anger, and I was running around this church just pulling the paintings off the wall, and I was smashing the windows in the church, and I ran into the bishop's office, and I like upturned his desk, and I was going berserk. And it was like a very weird dream because it felt so real. And I was like you know, I was carving this place up. I was smashing everything. I was going into every room and breaking it. And I was working my way up to the main, I can't remember what it's called, the chapel, sorry. I was making my way up to the chapel, smashing all like the primary room classes, Sunday school classes. And I finally made it to the chapel. And usually where the pulpit is, and you know where the bishopric sit, for those who are Mormon or ex-Mormon will know what I'm talking about. In place of that, there was a golden statue, and it was actually the figure Baal. You know, like from Christian theology, you know, Baal, the bronze bull, except it was gold in my dream. And I can remember it clear as day. And there was this odd sensation to go towards it, like I couldn't control myself, like I was moving towards it, and it was scaring me because I actually, like, the splendor of the idol was scaring me in the dream, and like my anger was replaced by fear. And I was actually like trying to wake myself up. I was thinking, no, I can't go towards this thing, something bad's gonna happen. I was filled with like a sense of dread. Oh man. And then I woke up, and like things changed because I never forgot that. That happened in 2018. Yeah, it was crazy, that. And for me, all my everything I believe, or everything like great insights that I've had, always comes from my dreams. I know that sounds so weird, but it's true for me. And that dream was like the breaking point where I knew that I could just see it for what it was. I could see every aspect, like it was like a flare, you know, like shot up in the sky, and you can see like the land. It was like that. I could see everything. I could see the lies. I could see the history. I could see, like, even just basic history discredits the church. even basic history of America. There's like letters from governors I've read, like discrediting Joseph Smith. He was a known liar. Loads of things. He was a mystic. He was a Freemason, you know, and a child abuser ultimately. He had like, I don't know the exact number, but like over maybe 30 or over 30 wives, some of which were like, I think as young as 14. I can't remember the specifics, but I know that that was the case. And it was never spoken about, which I found was odd, because like, why would they need to hide all these things and change all these things? Like, if a church is true, why does it need to change all the time? Like with letting Negroes into the congregation, I think it was 1978. Like, why, if God is now whatever here and like tomorrow forever, that saying, like, why did he change his mind? Like a few, like maybe 8 years after the civil rights, stuff like that, or even, or even like when the U.S. government was banning polygamy, and the church was like against it, and then all of a sudden, because it was illegal, the church was going to face massive fines and tariffs, and then all of a sudden, revelation from God. It's all good. It's all cancelled now. Yeah, yeah. It's all rubbish, man. And for me, they always say like in the world, not of the world. To me, like if you look at the adverts on TV and you look and if you can see the propaganda, I sometimes for a laugh will go to like a LDS conventions and just pick up a few pamphlets, and I will see that they're exactly the same. Like they are like the world. They are the world, because all they care about is their offshore shell accounts with their billions of dollars. They don't, and they care only about the image of the church. They don't actually care about anyone, their own people. And this has probably been spoken about today. I'm just rehashing all stuff. But oh, if I had never, if I had never been born to that fool of a mother who allowed me to go through all this crap. Oh, it's sickening, man. It's sickening. Like, I feel sick. This is, yeah, that's my testimony.